Some cool facts about suspension bridges. So the first thing we are going to talk about is design and structure. Suspension bridges are designed with cables suspended between two towers. They also have vertical cables that hold up the bridge's deck. This design allows them to span long distances. Suspension bridges are what the Golden Gate Bridge is. So when you think about that, you know that is a suspension bridge. As you can see, I'm just drawing this nice picture. It is very cool. Suspension bridges are extremely long. Okay, so number 2, flexibility. One of the key advantages of suspension bridges is their flexibility. They can move with the wind and adjust to varying loads, which makes them very resilient. So when you go to test a suspension bridge, you will see it move and bend. So when you're building this type of bridge, you're going to want to use some spongy wood so you can account for all of that nice flexibility. Okay, number 3. Suspension bridges have the longest span of any types of bridge. This is super cool. And the example I would like to use is I'm not going to be able to pronounce this properly, so I am going to spell it out. Akashi Kaiyo Bridge in Japan. It has a main span of 1,991 meters, or 6,532 feet, making it the longest bridge in the world. Now we're going to move on to number 4. One of the most famous suspension bridges is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. We've already talked about this bridge, but it opened in 1937. It was an engineering marvel of its time, and it remains an iconic stature today. So they built this bridge close to 100 years ago. Can you imagine a bridge from 100 years ago? Their engineering, it's not as advanced, but they still made a bridge, and it lasts almost 100 years later, and will probably last for hundreds more. Okay, now we're going to move on to number 5. Modern suspension bridges use high-strength steel cables which can support enormous weights and withstand various environmental stresses. So that's why instead of using wood now, we use steel, and we use these cables that we braid together, so that way the bridge is super strong and can hold up enormous amounts of weight. That's why the Golden Gate Bridge, while it is red, it is just paint, and it is made out of metal. And the reason why they painted it red is so you cannot see the rust on the bridge. Okay, moving on to number 6. The first modern suspension bridge was I'm going to put the name up here, Mayena Suspension Bridge. And it is in Wales. It was completed in 1826 by engineer Thomas Telford. It was a groundbreaking achievement in bridge engineering, and it still is. Could you imagine in 1826 building a revolutionary bridge, or seeing that kind of bridge just around? It's mind-boggling to me. So now we're going to move on to number 7. Suspension bridges are often considered beautiful structures due to their elegant and streamlined design, which can be both functionally and aesthetically pleasing. and aesthetically pleasing. Excuse me. So yes, these bridges are very beautiful. That is why the Golden Gate Bridge is so iconic, because it is gorgeous, it has lasted a long time, and it does its job very well. These bridges are not just feats of engineering, but also symbols of human integrity and creativity.